Alrighty. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Sent out all of my I'm live messages, so we should be good to go. Take a quick sip of water here. Make sure I've got the chat going. Make sure I'm live here. I'm live there. Perfect. Alrighty. Hello, everybody. It is I, Lord Xavier, and I am back once again for a semi-regular live stream. Today we are opening up Edge of Eternities, the newest set from Magic the Gathering. Uh, Getting a lot of newest sets lately, but that's just the situation we're in. We've got so many packs we got to open up, so much cardboard. I am really excited to open this up. I've done the pre-release and the first draft, obviously. Edge of Eternities is a lot of fun. Uh, there's a lot of new interactions and new playstyles that are developing with the release of Edge of Eternities that I'm looking forward to playing more of and playing against. So let's get right into it. Obviously, we've got our little zones set up here. And as always, we will start with an Edge of Eternities bundle box. Then we will move on to a play booster box and finishing it all up with a single collector booster. As already said, I am very excited to open this up, and I'm excited for the other two sets coming out this year, Spider-Man and especially Avatar: The Last Airbender, because Avatar is one of the best series of all time, and I'm extremely excited to get into it. I do need to make more videos talking about what cards I think would work very well from the show, like what moments from the show would make good cards. Because we're already getting our first look on the 12th of August, and I mean I know that releasing 6 sets this year, but everything just seems to be going by so quickly. Like I just blinked and Final Fantasy was gone. Didn't help that it was so popular that all the product went away, but that's a rant for another day. Okay, so we got a cute little poster here showing off the products for Edge of Eternities. And then we got this cool little uh, showing off all the different ships and the different looks like the different factions that we meet in the Edge of Eternity story. Those look pretty cool. I don't know if all of these ships are actually spacecraft in the set, but it'd be pretty cool. Yeah. Cat hair. All right, so we got a pretty cool looking box here. Got our dividers as usual. Got this very pretty like Galaxy foil looking giant spin down. It's very blue and sparkly. Enjoy that. We've got our booster packs from the bundle. And here we've got our basic lands along with our bundle promo. So here's our pretty little bundle promo. Emissary Escort. A 0/4 robot soldier gets +X/+O, where X is the greatest mana value among other artifacts you control, which in a set that seems pretty focused on artifacts is a pretty good effect to have there. And then these are all the foils of our basics. Here are we got full art basics, or the plains, and the island here, swamp, mountain, and forest. These are officially the most beautiful full art basics of 2025. Excited to see what Spider-Man and Avatar do. And then here are the regular basic lands for the set. All the artwork is really cool, but obviously the full arts here steal the show. All right, let's just set up a little trash bin here. Let's get through these packs. And as normal, I will be reading through the cards as I first see them, and then when I see repeats, sorry, getting the shaking there. When I see repeats, I'll just read the names or just not even say them. All right. So first off here, we got Fungal Colossus, a 5/5 for 7. This spell costs X less to cast for X of the number of differently named lands you control. So, depending on how many lands you control, different kinds of lands you control, this could cost anywhere from 6 to 1 mana. If you're able to get a bunch of differently named lands early out, this is a pretty good card. Otherwise, it's just a vanilla 5/5 essentially. Or Plate Pangolin. I believe this is our first like official pangolin from Magic. The 2/2 for 1 and a red. Whenever another artifact you control enters, you may pay 1. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Definitely a very good early game card. Perigi Beckoner? Perigi? Not sure how. Words are hard to pronounce if you don't know how they're supposed to be pronounced. 4/5 for 5. When this creature enters, until end of turn, another target creature you control gets +2/+0 and gains when this creature dies. Return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. And it also has a warp ability, which is 1 and a black. And warp is you cast it for the alternate warp cost, and at the end of the turn it gets exiled, and then you could play it again later for the normal cost. So it's kind of like a mixture between plot and adventure. Now this card is apparently part of a 3-card turn 4 infinite combo for standard, using only cards from this set. And as those cards pop up, I will point them out. So you need at least 2 copies of these, and then 1 copy each of 2 other cards that I will hopefully be showing you. We got Cryogen Relic, 2 mana artifact. When this artifact enters or leaves the battlefield, draw a card. Pay 2 and sacrifice it. Put a stun counter and up to 1 target tapped creature. Very good for limited. Probably standard too, if you got artifact and recursion synergies. Squire's Lightblade, 1 mana equipment with flash. When it enters, attach it to target creature you control. That creature gains first strike until end of turn. Equipped creature gets +1/+0 and has equipped for 3. And here we have a spacecraft, the newest artifact type introduced in Edge of Eternities. It is a spacecraft, 7 mana. When the spacecraft enters, it deals 10 damage to up to 1 target creature. And similar to vehicles where they have the crew cost, this has a station cost where you tap a creature, you put charge counters onto this equal to the creature's power. You can only do it at sorcery speed, and then when the spacecraft reaches a certain charge counter count, its station abilities activate. Most of the time, it will turn the spacecraft into a creature. So in this case, once this gets 7 charge counters on it, it becomes a 7/7 flyer. I feel like that's pretty good, especially if you're ramping out early enough. Nanoform Sentinel, 3/2 robot for 3. Whenever this creature becomes tapped, untap another target permanent. This ability triggers only once each turn, which helps out with all those station costs. Pull Through the Weft, 5 mana sorcery. Return up to 2 target non-land permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand, then return up to 2 target land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. I played this in the draft last week, not last week, just this past Friday, and it was really good, especially with some, sacrifice stuff, chump block, chump block big things, and then you just bring it back. Especially good with stuff that has like enters or leaves abilities. Scrounge for Eternity, 3 mana sorcery. As additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice an artifact or creature. Return target creature or spacecraft card with mana value 5 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, then create a lander token. Which lander tokens are these? They're essentially Wayfarer's Bauble on tokens. Starfield Shepherd, 5 mana 3/2 Flying Angel. When this creature enters, search your library for a basic plains or a creature card with mana value 1 or less, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle, and it has a warp cost for 2. Alrighty. First rare of the stream, we got Entropic Battle Cruiser, a 4 mana spacecraft. has a station ability. As soon as it gets a single charge counter, it has whenever an opponent discards a card, they lose 3 life. And then at least 8 charge counters, it becomes a 3/10 flying death touch creature. Whenever this spacecraft attacks, each opponent discards a card. Each opponent who can't loses 3 life. So as soon as this thing becomes a creature and it attacks, everyone is guaranteed to lose 3 life because either they discard and they lose 3 life off the first ability, or they can't discard and then they lose 3 life off the second ability. Ooh, multiple rares. Ooh, this is a really good one. Ice Till Explorer. 4 mana, 2/4, Insect Scout. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. You may play lands from your graveyard, and a landfall ability whenever a land you control enters, mill a card. This is a pretty good card. I expect this to go up in price before it goes down a lot. One of my favorite cards so far of the set that I've played with, a foil, Use Social Engineering. 5 mana enchantment. Whenever a land you control enters, create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token, and warp for 2. So if you have a third land in your hand on turn 3, you warp this out, play a land, get a 2/2, and then later you can play it for more. Oh, look at that. We got another foil full art basic. They're just so pretty. Look at that. I want posters of that. And then we have a drone token and a robot token on the back. Pretty good first pack. Nice to get a double rare out of the first pack, so excited to see what else we can pull out of this nonsense. Alrighty. We have Kav Landseeker. 4/3 Kavu Scout for 4, has Menace. When this creature enters, create a lander token. At the beginning of the end step on your next turn, sacrifice that token. So this enters, you make the token, you have one full turn to use it, otherwise you gotta sacrifice it. Beamsaw Prospector. 2/1 Human Artificer for 2. When this creature dies, create a lander token. So there's a lot of ways to ramp in this set. Cloud Sculpt Technician. 1/4 Jellyfish Artificer for 3, has flying. As long as you control an artifact, it gets +1/+0. Right Spear Zealot. 2/4 Human Soldier for 3. Vigilance gets +2/+0 as long as you've cast 2 or more spells this turn. Sky Stinger. This is another one of my favorites that I've played with because it's a very good one for blocking evasion. 3/3 for 3, Insect Warrior, has Reach. Whenever this creature blocks a creature with flying, this creature gets +5/+0 until end of turn. Nebula Dragon. 4/4 Flying Dragon for 7. When this creature enters, it deals 3 damage to any target. It makes sense that this is a common. I don't think that this is particularly powerful. I mean, dealing 3 damage on entry is nice, but 7 mana for a 4/4, even if it is a flyer, that just seems like a lot. Lost in Space. 4 mana instant. Target artifact or creature's owner puts it on their choice of the top or bottom of their library, and then surveil 1. We got the best boy of the set. We got a Chrome Companion. 2/1 artifact creature dog. 2 mana. When this creature becomes tapped, you gain 1 life. Pay 2 and tap. Put target card from a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's library. Very good boy for stationing spacecrafts. Pulsar Squadron Ace. 2 mana, 1/2 human pilot. When this creature enters, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a spacecraft card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest at the bottom of your library in a random order. If you didn't put a card into your hand this way, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. All right, here's the most important part of that turn 4 instant win combo. Uh, Umbral Collar Zealot. A 3/2 human cleric for 2. Sacrifice another creature or artifact and surveil 1. So you need 2 copies of that first warp creature, 1 copy of this, and then 1 other creature. And when we get to that creature, I will pull them all out and show you the whole combo together. Unravel. 3 mana instant. Counter target spell. If the amount of mana spent to cast that spell was less than its mana value, you draw a card. So basically, you want to use this to counter spells that are being warped for limited, or spells that are being cheated out. Oh, we got a second entropic battlecruiser. Crazy that we are getting doubles already. Foil me- mechaniz- mechanizoa. Mechanizoa, one of those two. A 6 mana 5/5 robot jellyfish. When this creature enters, tap target artifact or creature an opponent controls and put a stun counter on it, and it has warp for 3. Then we got a forest and a robot and lander token. I think there's only 12 tokens in the whole set, and 5 of them are just different lander tokens. I feel like they could have done without making 5 different versions of the same token. They do that a lot. I'm remembering because like they with New Capenna they had 5 different treasures for the 5 different groups. They had 5 they had like 5 different clues in Karlov Manor. I noticed that when they do a lot of like factiony things, they tend to have multiple copies of the same token for each of the factions. I kind of like that, but also it kind of like unnecessarily fills out how many tokens there actually are in the set, especially since they've kind of doubled down on making all the tokens double-sided. So it's like I didn't need this token. I'm missing this token. Wizards, you already put a copy of each basic in all the bundles. Put a copy of each token from the set in the bundle. I would really appreciate that. All right. Ice Cave Crasher, 4/4 Beast for 4, has trample and landfall. When a land you control enters, this creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Frontline War Rager, 3 mana, 2/3, Kavu Soldier. Beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more tapped creatures, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Insatiable Skittermaw, 3 mana, 2/2, Insect Horror with Menace. And one of the other new abilities of the set, Void. At the beginning of your end step, if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Brand new whale! Another space whale as well. Starbreach Whale. 5 mana, 3/5 whale with flying. When this creature enters, surveil 2, and it has a warp cost of 2. Starport Security. A 1 mana, 1/1 robot soldier. Pay 4 mana and tap another target creature. This ability costs 2 less to activate if you control a creature with a +1/+1 counter on it. Germinating Worm, a 5 mana 5/5 plant worm. When this creature enters, you gain 2 life and warp 1. This is one of my favorite kill spells just because of how unique it is. Depressurize, 2 mana instant. Target creature gets -3/-0 until end of turn. If that creature's power is 0 or less, destroy it. Drill Too Deep, 2 mana instant, choose 1. Put 5 charge counters on target spacecraft or planet you control, or destroy target artifact. The thing that makes Station viable, or the most viable, I say. Memorial Team Leader, 4 mana, 4/3, Kavu Warrior. During your turn, other creatures you control get +1/+0, and warp for 2. Siege Ship Agrarian, 4 mana, 3/3 Insect Scientist. Whenever this creature becomes tapped, create a lander token. And landfall, whenever a land you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Lightless Evangel, 2 mana, 2/2 Vampire Cleric. Whenever you sacrifice another creature or artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Space Time Anomaly, 4 mana sorcery. Target player mills cards equal to your life total. So if you're gaining a lot of life, you're going to be milling your opponents for a lot. Our foil is Exosuit Savior, 3 mana, 2/2 human soldier with flying. When this creature enters, return up to 1 other target permanent you control to its owner's hand. And a full art forest, and a robot, and another lander token. Getting some decent pulls so far. Really hoping to get at least one of the special guests, because the special guest artwork for this set is really pretty. I don't even care what it is. Gene Pollinator, 1 mana, 1/2 robot insect. Tap and tap another permanent you control to add 1 mana of any color. Good if you've got just do nothing enchantments, basically. Bombard, one of the few reprints outside of the Shocklands for this set. 3 mana instant, deals 4 damage to target creature. Dark Endurance, another 2 mana instant. This spell costs 1 less to cast if it targets a blocking creature. Target creature gets +2/+0 and gains indestructible until end of turn. Pretty good in my opinion. Ilvoy Light Jammer. 2 mana equipment with flash. When it enters, attach it to target creature you control. That creature gains Hexproof until end of turn. An equipped creature gets +1/+2 and has equipped 3. Another Starfighter Pilot. 2 mana 2/2. When this creature becomes tapped, surveil 1. Sammy's Curiosity, the best turn 1 play in the set. 1 mana sorcery, you gain 2 life, create a lander token. It's basically like playing Wayfarer's Bauble, but you gain life. Zookeeper Mechan, 2 mana 1/3 robot. You can tap it for red, or you can pay 6 in a red. Target creature you control gets +4/+0 until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. Close Encounter, 2 mana instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, choose a creature you control or a warped creature card you own in exile. Close Encounter deals damage equal to the power of the chosen creature or card to target creature. We love bite spells. Territorial Bruntar, 6 mana 6/6 with reach. Landfall, whenever a land you control enters, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast that card this turn. Tragic Trajectory, 1 mana sorcery. Target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. Void, non-land permanent leaves or a spell was warped, the creature gets -10/-10 instead. It's pretty powerful. Uthros Scanship, 4 mana spacecraft. When the spacecraft enters, draw 2 cards and discard a card, and when you station it with at least 8 counters, it becomes a 4/4 flyer. Oh hey, this was my pre-release card that I got out of my box. Synthesizer Lab Ship, 1 mana spacecraft. When you station it to 2, at the beginning of combat on your turn, up to 1 other target artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 2/2 and gains flying until end of turn. And when you get to 9 charge counters, it itself becomes a 4/4 with flying and vigilance. 3 spacecraft in a row. Our foil is Atmospheric Greenhouse. 5 mana spacecraft. When it enters, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. And then when you station it to 8, it becomes a 5/4 flying trample. And a forest and a robot lander. Pretty good, pretty decent pulls so far. Alright. Next up, Gravpack Monoist. 3 mana 2/1 with flying. When this creature enters, create a tapped 2/2 colorless robot. Cryo Shatter, 1 mana aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets -5/-0. Whenever enchanted creature becomes tapped or is dealt damage, destroy it. Weftblade Enhancer, 6 mana 3/4 with a new creature type. This is a Drix Artificer. When this creature enters, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures, and it has a warp cost of 3. So, in the story of Edge of Eternities, we meet the Drix, and the Drix are basically space hunters who specifically go and hunt Eldrazi. Which, I need to see more of these if we're going to be getting more Eldrazi's in the future. Shattered Wings, 3 mana sorcery, destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying, and surveil 1. Calvaron Turbo Drone, 3 mana 2/3 robot scout. Tap it, target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains haste until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. Dock Worker Drone, 2 mana 1/1 robot. This creature enters with a +1/+1 counter on it. When this creature dies, put its counters on target creature you control. Zealous Display, 3 mana instant. Creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn. If it's not your turn, untap those creatures. So very good for if you decide to use a turn to station everything, and when your opponents think your shield's down, you just throw this out and untap everything. Hey, it's one of the first cards that got shown for the set. Harmonious Grove Strider, 5 mana beast. Star. It has Ward 2. This creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. Honored Knight Captain. 2 mana, 1/1, Human Advisor Knight. When this creature enters, make a 1/1 white human soldier. 6 mana, sacrifice this creature, search your library for an equipment card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. So there aren't that many equipment in this set, and the best one is a mythic. So you're probably not going to be using that ability in limited. Maybe standard, but definitely in like Voltron Commander stuff. Remnant Elemental, 2 mana, 0/4 with reach, and landfall gives it +2/+0 until end of turn. Servandum the Lucent. Of course, this card got revealed after I'd already had my deck list made up for my Knights deck, which I will be doing a video on that shortly. If by the time this video goes up, I'll probably already have made a deck tech on my TikTok for that deck, but I will need to find a cut for this card. It is a 5 mana, 4/4 human knight, death touch and lifelink. When Servandum enters or attacks, other creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain death touch until end of turn, which is what you really want for a deck that cares about connecting with combat damage. Biotech Specialist, 2 mana, 1/3, insect scientist. When this creature enters, create a lander token. When you sacrifice an artifact, this creature deals 2 damage to target opponent. We got a foil, Dual Sun Technique, 2 mana instant. Target creature you control gains double strike until end of turn. If it has a +1/+1 counter on it, draw a card. It got a mountain and a human soldier and a lander. Remember the hydrate, kids. All right. I'm going to Auraplay Pangolin, another Beckoner. So now I've got the second copy for the combo. Graugen Relic, Squire's Lightblade, Gene Pollinator, Temporal Intervention. 3 mana sorcery with a void ability that gives it a reduced cost by 2. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. Worm Wall Sweeper, 2 mana spacecraft. When it enters, surveil 2. When you station it to 4, it becomes a 2/2 flyer. Larval Scoutlander, 3 mana spacecraft. When it enters, you may sacrifice a land or lander. If you do, search your library for up to 2 basic lands, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Station to 7 becomes a 3/3 flyer. Steel Swarm Operator, 2 mana, 1/1 with flying. Tap for 1 blue. Spend this mana only to cast an artifact spell. Or tap it for 2 blue. Spend this mana only to activate abilities of artifact sources. Hanuk Memorial Ensign, 3 mana, 2/4 Kavu Pilot. One of the main characters of the Edge of Eternities story. Landfall. When a land you control enters, Tanuk deals 1 damage to each opponent. If this is the second time this ability has resolved this turn, draw a card. Rayblade Trooper, 3 mana, 2/2, human soldier. When this creature enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Whenever a non-token creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it dies, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token, and it has a warp cost of 2. Corral of the Void, a 4 mana aura. Enchant creature you control. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, put target creature card from defending player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control tapped and attacking. At the beginning of your end step, sacrifice this aura unless a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn. And we got this is our foil too, so we got a foil Sothera the Super Void. This is the card that is the headliner of the set, so it has a special version that is a headliner version. That is a 4 mana legendary enchantment. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent chooses a creature they control and exile it. At the beginning of your end step, if a player controls no creatures, sacrifice Sothera, then put a creature card exiled with it onto the battlefield under your control with 2 additional +1/+1 counters on it. So that's very cool to get that as the foil slot. And then we get a foil mountain. Munitions token and a robot. I forget what makes munitions, but munition tokens, when this token leaves the battlefield, deals 2 damage to any target. So it's really just sacrifice spotter. That's really all that it is. Alrighty. We got Beam Saw Prospector, Cloud Sculpt Technician, Bright Spear Celet, Sky Stinger, Nebula Dragon, Swarm Color. 4 mana 2/4 Insect Warrior with Flying. Whenever this creature becomes tapped, you may sacrifice another creature or artifact. If you do, draw a card. Thawbringer. When this creature enters or dies, surveil 1. It's a 3 mana 4/2 Insect Scout. Another Unravel, Harmonious Grove Strider, Honored Knight Captain, Remnant Elemental. Oh, here's the card that makes the musician tokens. Weapons Manufacturing. 2 mana enchantment. Whenever a non-token artifact you control enters, create a colorless artifact token named Munitions. That's pretty cool. Grave Blade Heavy. 3/4 human soldier for 4. As long as you control an artifact, this creature gets +1/+0 and has Death Touch. Another mountain, robot lander token. All right, we're almost through all the packs from the bundle, and then we'll move on to the play booster box. All right, Kov Landseeker, Embrace Oblivion, 1 mana sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice an artifact or creature, destroy target creature or spacecraft. Cloud Sculpt Technician, Bright Spear Zealot, Sky Stinger, Drill Too Deep, Mechanozoa, Edge Rover, another fantastic 1-drop. 1 mana 2/2 Robot Scout with Reach. When this creature dies, each player creates a lander. Very good and limited, I have seen. Dubious Delicacy. 3 mana food with flash. When this artifact enters, up to 1 target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. And you can either sacrifice it to gain 3 life or sacrifice it to make an opponent lose 3 life. Bygone Colossus, a 9 mana 9/9 with Warp 3. So this is definitely a card that you would warp out specifically to station creatures, unless you're able to give things haste. Then you're swinging a 9/9 on turn 3. Full Bore, 1 mana instant. Target creature gets +3/+2 until end of turn. If that creature was cast for its warp cost, it also gains trample and haste until end of turn. Okay, so turn 4. Turn 4, you could warp out the Bygone Colossus and then make it a 12/11 with haste and trample. That's ridiculous. I love it. Oh, hey, it's the rare Servandum. Servandum Sunstar Exemplar, 2 mana 2/2, Vigilance and Menace. Whenever another creature you control dies or is put into exile, put a +1/+1 counter on Servandum and you gain 1 life. When Servandum dies or is put into exile while its power is 4 or greater, destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent. We have a foil Hilderblade. Yes, Hilderblade. 1 mana equipment. Equipped creature gets +3/+1. You can either equip for 4, or if you meet the void conditions on your end step, you can just auto attach this to something. Island and robot, and then the emblem for Tezzeret Cruel Captain. Beginning combat on your turn, puts 3 +1/+1 counters on an artifact you control. If it's not a creature, it becomes a robot. Alrighty, we got the last pack of the bundle, and then we'll move on to the play booster box. Alright, so we've got Bombard, Dark Endurance, Ilvoy Lightjammer, Starfighter Pilot, Sammy's Curiosity, Red Tiger Mechan, 4 mana 3/3 with haste that you could warp out for 2. Pinnacle Kill Ship, Vault Guard Trooper, 5 mana 5/5. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more tapped creatures, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw 2 cards. Susurian Dirgecraft, 5 mana spacecraft. When the spacecraft enters, each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature, and then when you station for 7, it becomes a 4/3 flyer. Hemosymbic Might, 1 mana 1/1 Might. Whenever this creature becomes tapped, another target creature you control gets plus X until end of turn, where X is this creature's power. The first non-token might that is also not Phyrexian. Oh, we got the Sacred Foundry. Let's go. Fountain Plains. As this land enters, you can pay 2 life. If you don't, it enters tapped. 1 of 5 shock lands. Ooh, we got the mono red Tanuk. This is a very good one. Tanuk Steadfast Second. 4 mana, 3/5 Kavu Pilot. Other creatures you control have haste. And artifact cards and red creature cards in your hand have warp for 2 and a red. That is a very good card to get. We got a foil ice cave crasher, a mountain, and a robot lander token. So overall, I would say that is a pretty decent bundle. I think I know I don't remember exactly what I got from the Final Fantasy bundle that I opened. I know there were some good cards in there, but I'm pretty sure so far the Tarkir Dragonstorm bundle is the best bundle that I've opened so far this year because the second pack had Elspeth in it. I'm trying to remember what I opened in my Final Fantasy bundle. Can't remember. Uh, all right, got the plastic wrap off the box. All right, so the one side of the little insert has the draft archetypes for the set, and then the back side has got more information about those factions, except this time it's got the races instead of showing the starships, the spacecrafts that it had. So that's pretty cool. This is pretty cool. All right, let's put this right over here, and let's just start cracking in. Time to get cracking. All right, we've got Cloud Sculpt Technician, Right Spear Zealot, Skysteiner, Nebula Dragon, Graph Pack Monolith, Cryo Shatter, Temporal Intervention, Umbral Collar Zealot. It's good that we got more of those. Unravel, Harmonious Grove Strider, Honored Knight Captain, Pain for All. This is one of my favorite cards from the whole set. Pain for All, 3 mana aura. Enchant creature you control. When this aura enters, enchanted creature deals damage equal to its power to any other target. Whenever enchanted creature is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to each opponent. So there's a spacecraft in this set that when you get it to 10 charge counters, it gets the ability that whenever you attack, the spacecraft deals 100 damage to any one target creature. So if you enchant your creature with this and then blast that creature with the spacecraft, then you just deal 100 damage to your opponent and win. Very fun. A foil Tanuk Memorial Ensign, uh, island, and a lander human soldier token. I did actually, in my pre-release kit, I did pull the Pain for All and also the spacecraft that deals 100 damage when you attack. So I tried to make that work. I unfortunately did not see the spacecraft until the very last game of the night. So did not get to test it out and see if it actually worked, but win some, you lose some. All right, Mental Modulation. 2 mana instant, spells cost 1 less to cast during your turn. Tap target artifact or creature and draw a card. Lux Knight Breacher, 4 mana 2/2. This creature enters with a +1/+1 counter on it for each other creature and or artifact you control. The card that got the day 0 errata. Diplomatic Relations, a 3 mana instant. So I'll read the card as is, and then I will say what the card should actually be doing. I need to turn down my mic volume because I'm peeking out my microphone. I apologize if my volume was too loud. Bringing that volume down a bunch. Hopefully that is better. I just looked over and I just saw red for the mic. I'm like, oh no, it should not be peaking like that. Okay, so Diplomatic Relations as written. Target creature gets +1/+0 and gains vigilance until end of turn. It deals damage equal to its power to target creature and opponent controls. Seems absolutely busted, right? Because you could target your opponent's creatures and have them fight each other. Well, uh, the errata text now reads target creature you control gets +1/+0 and gains vigilance until end of turn. So it's just a basic bite spell now. This was going to be the chase common of the whole set if they did not issue that day zero errata. What can you do? Sometimes you mass print a bunch of misprinted cards. Or play Pangolin, Peregrine Beckoner, Dock Worker Drone, Zealous Display, Tractor Beam. This is a fun one. 4 mana aura, enchant creature or spacecraft. When this aura enters, tapped enchanted permanent. You control enchanted permanent, and enchanted permanent doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. So the upside of this is that when you gain control of the creature, your opponents can't activate the creature's abilities if it just has, a free ability or just an ability you pay mana into, something that doesn't require tapping. But with this, you can steal it and activate those abilities for yourself. It's a pretty nutty card. I like it. Sunstar Lightsmith, sorry. 4 mana, 3/3. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature and draw a card. Hymn of the Faller, 2 mana sorcery. Surveil 1, then you draw a card and lose a life. Void, if another permanent left the battlefield or a spell was warped this turn, draw another card. So if you crack a treasure for that, that's draw 2, lose 1 life for 2. Pretty good. Survey Mechan, 4 mana, 1/3 robot with flying and hexproof. You pay 10 mana, sacrifice this creature, it deals 3 damage to any target. Target player draws 3 cards and gains 3 life. This ability costs X less to activate, where X is the number of differently named lands you control. I ran this in my draft deck this past weekend, and the most that this would have cost me was 4 mana to activate. Requiem Monolith, 3 mana artifact. Tap. Until end of turn, target creature gains. Whenever this creature is dealt damage, you draw that many cards and lose that much life. That creature's controller may have this artifact deal 1 damage to it. Activate only as a sorcery. So it's a pretty good way to potentially sneak a creature through for combat because your opponent doesn't want to deal damage to it and have you draw a bunch of cards. I think that will see some play. Foil is Alpha Rail Dreaming Acolyte. 3 mana, 2/3. When Alpha Rail enters, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards unless you discard an artifact card. And during your turn, Alpha Rail has Death Touch. It's got a Plains and a Lander and Drone token. Yeah, it's a shame about Diplomatic Relations. That definitely was going to be the most busted card of the whole set, and rightfully so. It's a misprint. Graph Pack Monoliths, Cryo Shatter, Wethblade Enhancer, Shattered Wings, Caveron Turbo Drone, Gravkill, 4 mana instant, exile target creature or spacecraft. Fallbringer, Dual Sun Adepts, 3 mana, 2/2, double strike, pay 5, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Debris Field Crusher, 5 mana spacecraft. When it enters, deals 3 damage to any target. 8 counters makes it a 8 charge counters makes it a 1/5 flyer. With pay 2 mana, this spacecraft gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Memnon, Menon, however you say his name. His name is very interesting. MM'Menon. Menon, Uthros Exile. 3 mana for a 1/3 Jellyfish Advisor with flying. Whenever an artifact you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Another Hilderblade. Sunset Saboteur. 2 mana, 4/1 human rogue with menace. Ward, discard a card. Whenever this creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature and opponent controls. Now, I get that this needed some kind of downside because it's a 2-mana 4/1 with Menace and Ward discard a card, but having to putting a +1/+1 counter on an opponent's creature to have this swing in, I don't know if that makes it kind of unplayable. I don't know the kind of strategies where you would want your opponent's creatures to get bigger. But I'm sure somebody will figure out a way to break it. Foil Hymn of the Faller, Island, and Lander robot token. I feel like this box has been pretty tame so far. I've only gotten 3 packs in. This is pack number 4, so we'll see if this is a good box or not. Gene Pollinator, Bombard, Dark Endurance, Ilvoy Lightjammer, Starfighter Pilot, Wormwall Sweeper, Zealous Display, Edge Rover, Dubious Delicacy, Bygone Colossus, Full Bore, Cosmogoyf, a 2-mana elemental Lurgoyf. This creature's power is equal to the number of cards you own in exile, and its toughness is equal to that number +1. That seems like such a fun card. I don't know the best kind of deck that it would go in, but it does seem like a fun card to build around. Foil Mechan Navigator, 2-mana, 2/1. When this creature becomes tapped, draw a card, then discard a card. And a mountain, and a Lander robot. I haven't gotten a single art card yet, or even a single bonus sheet card. Hope that changes. Ilvoy Operative, whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. A 2-mana, 2/1 Jellyfish Rogue. Exosuit Savior. Exosuit Savior. Ugh, I can words, trust me. 3-mana, 2/2 with flying. When it enters, return up to 1 target permanent you control to its owner's hand. Nutrient Block. 1-mana food that's indestructible. You can sacrifice it to gain 3 life, and when it's put into the graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card. That's pretty funny. Ice Cave Crasher, Frontline War Rager, Swarm Color, Red Tiger Mechan, Alpha Rail, a Null, one of the other cards that got a reprint for this set. 1-mana instant, counter target artifact or enchantment spell. Terrapact Intimidator, 2-mana, 2/1 Kavu Scout. When this creature enters, target opponent may have you create 2 Lander tokens. If they don't, put 2 +1/+1 counters on this creature. So you either get a ramp or a big boy. Pulsar Squadron Ace. Hard Light Containment. 1-mana aura. Enchant artifact you control. Whenever this aura enters, exile target creature and opponent controls until this aura leaves the battlefield. Enchanted permanent has ward 1. Foil Nebula Dragon, Swamp, Lander Robot. I feel like most of the tokens that I'm going to be opening up here are just Lander robots. It's going to be pretty boring. But like I said, there's only 12 tokens in the whole set, so I probably have them all by now, especially with getting the Tezzeret emblem. Lux Knight Breacher. Biosynthetic Burst. 2-mana instant. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It gains reach, trample, and indestructible until end of turn, and untap it. It's a pretty good card there. Melded Moxite, 2-mana artifact. When this artifact enters, you may discard a card. If you do, draw 2, and then later pay 3, sacrifice it to make a tapped 2/2 robot. Comet Crawler, 3-mana 2/3 insect horror with lifelink. Whenever this creature attacks, you may sacrifice another creature or artifact. If you do, this creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. A good way to use up those munition tokens that you would be making. Sinister Cryologist, 3-mana 2/3 Jellyfish Wizard. When this creature enters, target creature and opponent controls gets -3/-0 until end of turn and has warp cost of 1. Stockworker Drone, Zealous Display. Halia, Ascendant Cadet, 5-mana 3/3 Human Soldier. Whenever Halia enters or attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Whenever one or more creatures you control with a +1/+1 counter on them, deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Pretty standard go wide ability there. Vel Gravship, 3 mana spacecraft. When the spacecraft enters, mill 3 cards, then return a creature or spacecraft card from your graveyard to your hand. Station for 8 or more, 3/2 flying lifelink. Honor. I feel like they printed this card too early. This should have been a red card in the avatar set with Zuko's face on it. So 1 mana sorcery, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature and draw a card. It's pretty good. We have Galvanizing Sawship. 6 mana spacecraft, station for at least 3. It is a 6/5 flying haste. Pretty good. Speaking of pretty good and relating to spacecraft, we have Loading Zone. 4 mana enchantment when one or more counters would be if one or more counters would be put on a creature, spacecraft, or planet you control, twice that many of each kind of those counters are put on it instead, and has a warp cost of 1. So yeah, you definitely want this if you're going to be playing spacecraft. Foil Embrace Oblivion. That combine words here. Mountain Lander Robot. Shocking. Remember to hydrate, kids. Alrighty. Orbital Plunge. 4 mana sorcery, deals 6 damage to target creature. If excess damage was dealt this way, create a lander. Beamsaw Prospector, Ilvoy Galeblade. Oh, Ilvoy Galeblade, but that's a new one. 1 mana, 1/1 Jellyfish Warrior with Flash and Flying, and pay 2, sacrifice it to draw a card. Great for flash blocking. Night Luminary, 4 mana, 3/2. When this creature enters, make a 1/1 white human soldier, and then warp for 2. Looming Stinger, 2 mana, 2/2 plant scorpion with Death Touch. When this creature enters, another creature you control gets Death Touch until end of turn. Mechanozoa, Thaumaton Torpedo. 1 mana, and then pay 6, tap, sacrifice this artifact, destroy target non-land permanent. This ability costs 3 less to activate if you attacked with a spacecraft this turn. Emergency Eject. 3 mana instant, destroy target non-land permanent. Its controller creates a lander token. Got Gruul Tanuk, Steel Swarm Operator, Vault Guard Trooper. Oh hey, the regular set print of Emissary Escort. Looks pretty. Foil Insatiable Skittermaw, Foil Planes, and a Lander Human Soldier. I was just about to say Lander Robot no matter what it was. Alright, next up we've got Mental Modulation, Lux Knight Breacher, Diplomatic Relations, Warplay Pangolin, Paraguay Beckoner, Ilvoy Operative, Wormhole Sweeper, Legless Evangel, Sunstar Expansionist. 2 mana, 2/3. When this creature enters, if an opponent controls more lands than you, create a lander token. Landfall, whenever land you control enters, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Atomic Microsizer. 1 mana equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+0. Whenever equipped creature attacks, choose up to 1 target creature. That creature can't be blocked this turn and has base power and toughness 1/1 until end of turn, and equipped for 2. Oh hey, I just had to complain, and then I get a bonus sheet card. We got Swarm Yard. So all of the bonus sheet cards in this set are all reprinted lands, and they're all basically like outer space planets, which I think is really cool. So we have Swarm Yard, taps for colorless, or you can tap it to regenerate target insect, rat, spider, or squirrel. Consult the Consult the star charts. 2 mana instant with kicker, so could cost 4. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of lands you control. Put 1 of those cards in your hand. If this spell was kicked, put 2 of those cards in your hand instead. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Royal Dockworker Drone, Island, Lander Robot. All right. So we got our first bonus sheet card from both the bundle and the box. I hope that doesn't bode what I hope that the I hope we get more is what I'm trying to say. Like, okay. Grav Pack Monolist, Cryo Shatter, with Blade Enhancer, Shattered Wings, Cavron Turbo Drone, Grav Kill, Thaumaton Torpedo, Radiant Strike, 4 mana instant. Destroy target artifact or tapped creature, you gain 3 life. Cerebral Download, 5 mana instant. Surveil X, where X is the number of artifacts you control, then draw 3 cards. It's pretty nutty. Tapestry Warden, 4 mana 3/4 with Vigilance, Robot Soldier. Each creature you control with toughness greater than its power assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. Each creature you control with toughness greater than its power stations permanents using its toughness rather than its power. It's a pretty good card for this kind of a set. Timeline Color. 2 mana 2/2 with haste. You may cast this card from your graveyard using its warp ability. Its warp ability is 1 black and pay 2 life. So good luck getting rid of this thing. Oh, hey, look, the commander card of the set. Infinite Guideline Station. A Wooburg 5 mana spacecraft, which, with the rules update that they did for Commander for Edge of Eternities, legendary spacecrafts can become your commander. If you haven't seen the newest Game Nights episode, Josh Lee Kwai used this as his commander. So, when Infinite Guideline Station enters, create a tapped 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token for each multicolored permanent you control. Station has to get up to 12, becomes a 7/15 with flying, and whenever Infinite Guideline Station attacks, draw a card for each multicolored permanent you control. So, fantastic way to keep your hand filled. And our foil is Starfield Vocalist. 4 mana, 3/4 human bard. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, triggers twice. Triggers an additional time and has a warp cost of 2. Forest, Lander Robot. I was pretty hyped because my promo pack for draft this weekend, I got a stamped Starfield Vocalist. And I went to look it up because I heard that it was pretty popular when they first got revealed, and the price dropped drastically. Although the stamped one was still $4, which is not bad, but people were saying that that was going to be like a $20 card, I think. Interesting to see how prices work. Weftblade Enhancer, Shattered Wings, Cavron Turbo Drone, Grav Kill, Mechan Shieldmate. 2 mana, 3/2 with Defender. As long as an artifact enters the battlefield under your control this turn, this creature can attack as though it didn't have Defender. Galactic Wayfarer. 3 mana, 3/3. When it enters, create a lander. Temporal Intervention. Remnant Elemental. Servandum the Lucent. Code Cracker Hound. 3 mana, 2/1 dog. Call Brian Kibler. We have a new dog for Bant dogs. When this creature enters, look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one into your hand and the other into your graveyard, and also warp for 3. Ooh. Bonus sheet. Wandering, uh... God. The text looks cool, but Jesus, that makes it hard to read. I think that's, uh... Tumarole? Fumarole? Hold on. Wandering Fumarole. That's weird. That's a weird thing. That's a weird word. Okay, Wandering Fumarole. Land enters tapped, taps for blue or red. You pay 4. Until end of turn, this land becomes a 1/4 red and blue elemental creature with pay 0, switches creature's power and toughness till end of turn. It's still a land. Ooh! Showcase card for Ragost Deft Gastronaut. A 2 mana 2/2 Lobster Citizen. Artifacts you control are food in addition to its other types, and have pay 2 and tap, sack this artifact, gain 3 life. Pay 1 and tap, sacrifice a food. Ragos deals 3 damage to each opponent. At the beginning of each end step, if you gain life this turn, untapped Ragost. Pretty fun card there. I love that we have a legendary lobster. Foil Starport Security, Swamp, Lander Drone, not Lander Robot. Okay, 2 bonus sheet cards so far. Could be more, could be more. There were definitely more when I opened up all my Final Fantasy stuff. Ilvoy Operative, Exosuit Savior, Fungal Colossus, Caveron Skywarden. I think we read this one. 5 mana, 4/5 with reach, void ability, puts a +1/+1 counter on it. Graphblade Heavy, Divert Disaster. 2 mana, instant, counter target spell unless its controller pays 2. If they do, you create a lander token. Mechanoza, Specimen Freighter. 6 mana spacecraft. When the spacecraft enters, return up to 2 target non-spacecraft creatures to their owner's hands. Stationed to 9 or more. It comes a 4/7 with flying. When the spacecraft attacks, defending player mills 4. It's a brutal card, honestly, to play against. Melt Strider Eulogist. 3/3 insect soldier for 3. Whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it dies, draw a card. Scout for Survivors. Scouts for Survivors. 3 mana sorcery. Return up to 3 target creature cards with total mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a +1/+1 counter on each of them. Alpha Rail. Another Pain for All. Foil Uthros Scan Ship. Full Art Forest. Lander Robot. I love that I'm getting more Pain for Alls because I was trying to think of a way to make the 100 damage spaceship deck work in standard. Still trying to crack that. It's still giving me some troubles mentally. Mechan Shieldmate. Focus Fire. 1 mana instant. Deals X damage to target attacking or blocking creature, where X is 2 plus the number of creatures and or spacecraft you control. Intrepid Tenderfoot. 2 mana, 2/2 Insect Citizen. Pay 3, put a +1/+1 counter on it, activate as a sorcery. Rig for War. 2 mana instant. Target creature gets +3/+0 and gains first strike and reach until end of turn. A shocking reprint, in my opinion. Virus Beetle. This was first printed in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. It's a 2 mana 1/1 insect. When this creature enters, each opponent discards a card. Wormwall Sweeper, Temporal Intervention, Seam Rip. 1 mana enchantment. When this enchantment enters, exile target non-land permanent with an opponent controls with mana value 2 or less until this enchantment leaves the battlefield. Lots of exiling things. I know we just had a bunch of stuff rotate out of standard, especially like temporary lockdown, but it doesn't mean that we needed more wizards. Come on. Roving Actuator. 4 mana, 3/4 robot. Void ability. Exile up to 1 target instant or sorcery with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard. Copy it. You may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. It's pretty cool. Broodguard Elite. 2 green and X for 0/0 Insect Knight. This creature enters with X +1/+1 counters on it. When this creature leaves the battlefield, put its counters on target creature you control, and has Warp for 1 and X. That's a pretty good way to boost up your creatures quickly and also get a head start on stationing up your spacecrafts. Interceptor Mechan. 4 mana 2/2 robot with flying. When this creature enters, return target artifact or creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Begin your end step. If void happen, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Rust Harvester. 1 mana 1/1 robot with menace. Pay 2 and tap. Exile an artifact card from your graveyard. Put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Then it deals damage equal to its power to any target. Foil Mental Modulation, Full Art Mountain, Robot, and another Tezzeret's Emblem token. All right. Ice Cave Crasher, Orbital Plunge, Beamsaw Prospector, Ilvoy Galeblade, Night Luminary, Swarm Color, Thawbringer, Rayblade Trooper, Hypnosimbic Might, Susurian Dirgecraft, Cavaron Harrier. 1 mana 2/1. Whenever this creature attacks, you may pay 2. If you do, create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token that's tapped and attacking. Sacrifice that token at the end of combat. Ooh, we got one of the new planet lands. This is a Adagaya Windswept Bastion. Land enters tapped, taps for a white. Station requirement is 12 counters or more. Once it's stationed, 4 mana, tap, create a token that's a copy of target artifact or enchantment you control, except it's a legendary, activate only as a sorcery. I'll be honest, in terms of all of the effects that the planets have, I think this one is the weakest. Mainly because it's 4 mana to activate, and you can only make one copy of any one thing because it makes it legendary. So you try and make another copy, and then legendary rule happens. I don't know. I'm sure someone's figured out a way to break it. A foil timeline color, a plains, land or robot. Okay. Insatiable Skittermaw, Starbreach Whale, Starport Security, Germinating Worm, Orbital Plunge, Embrace Oblivion, Command Bridge. This land enters tapped. When this land enters, sacrifice it unless you tap an untapped permanent you control. Again, those enchantments are pretty good for that requirement. And then taps for any mana, 1 mana of any color. Very good turn 2 land as well if you're not doing anything turn 2. Atmospheric Greenhouse, All Fates Scroll, 3 mana, artifact taps will add 1 mana of any color, or pay 7 and tap. Sacrifice this artifact, draw X cards where X is the number of differently named lands you control. Litho Breaking, 3 mana instant, create a lander token, then you may sacrifice an artifact. When you do, deals 2 damage to each creature. It's pretty good there. Wedgelight Rammer, 4 mana spacecraft. When the spacecraft enters, create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. And then station for 9, it becomes a flying first strike 3/4. Singularity Rupture. I believe this is the Buy a Box promo. It is the Buy a Box promo. So this is a 6 mana sorcery. Destroy all creatures, then any number of target players each mill half their library rounded down. That's pretty neat. Oh, and the foil is the only other non-artifact colorless card in this set. Also the only Eldrazi in this set, so I feel a little bit misled when they said we were getting more Eldrazi's. Anti-Causal Vestige. A 6 mana 7/5 Eldrazi. When this creature leaves the battlefield, draw a card, then you may put a permanent card with mana value less than or equal to the number of lands you control from your hand to the battlefield, tapped, and it also has Warp 4. So this is also pretty good for stationing spacecraft and planets, obviously, because you'll warp it out for 4, tap it, and then it'll sacrifice itself. You'll draw a card and put something out for free. Pretty cool, gotta say. Forest and Lander Robot. Alright. Auxiliary Boosters. 5 mana equipment. When this equipment enters, create a 2/2 colorless robot, then attach this equipment to it. Equipped creature gets +1/+2 and has flying, and equipped for 3. Diplomatic Relations. Cavaron Skywarden. Graveblade Heavy. Divert Disaster. Red Tiger Mechan. Swarm Color. Uthros Cyanist. 3 mana 2/4. The second spell you cast each turn costs 2 less to cast. Monoist Circuit Feeder. 6 mana 4/4 Nautilus with Flyed. When this creature enters, until end of turn, target creature you control gets +X/+0, and target creature an opponent controls gets -0/-X, where X is the number of artifacts you control. Dawn Strike Vanguard. 6 mana, 4/5 with lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more tapped creatures, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control other than this creature. Another Shockland. This is the Dimir one. Watery Grave. It looks really cool. Double rare. Terminal Velocity. 6 mana sorcery. You may put an artifact or creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. That permanent gains haste. When this permanent leaves the battlefield, it deals damage equal to its mana value to each creature. And at the beginning of your end step, sacrifice this permanent. That could be pretty funny if you're doing, because I have a red black standard deck that runs Darksteel Colossus. So if I played this, I could just drop Darksteel Colossus out of my, if it's in my hand, I could just drop it for 11, and then have it deal 11 damage to each creature when it leaves. And then I get to shovel it back into my library. Foil Starbreach Whale, Forest, and Lander Robot. Okay, so I also pulled uh I pulled a breeding pool during the draft. So I pulled a Godless Shrine in my pre-release kit. So I'm just missing the one, which I'm blanking on which it is. Sacred Foundry, Watery Grave, Stomping Grounds, that's what it is. Frontline War Rager, Insatiable Skittermaw, Starbreach Whale, Starport Security, Germinating Worm, Cov Landseeker, Lost in Space, Mecha Navigator, Melt Strider's Resolve. 1 mana aura, enchant creature you control. When this aura enters, enchanted creature fights up to 1 target creature an opponent controls. Enchanted creature gets +0/+2 and can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. Station Monitor. 2 mana 2/2 Lizard Artificer. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, create a 1/1 colorless drone artifact creature token with flying, and this creature can block only creatures with flying. Faller's Faithful. 3 mana 3/1 Human Wizard. When this creature enters, destroy up to one other target creature. If that creature wasn't dealt damage this turn, its controller draws 2 cards. Asteli Reclaimer. 5 mana 5/4 Angel Warrior with flying. When this creature enters, return target non-creature, non-land permanent card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast this creature. It also has Warp for 3. Foil Weftblade Enhancer, Swamp, Lander Robot. I am not want for robots. Alright. Exosuit Savior, Fungal Colossus, Caveron Skywarden, Gravblade Heavy, Divert Disaster, Maltstrider's Gear, 1 mana equipment. When it enters, attach it to target creature you control. Equipped creature gets +2/+1 in reach and equipped for 5. I will say this about the equipment in this set, uh, except for the mythic one, pretty much all of the equipments has some way to auto equip onto a creature, whether it's when it enters or with a void ability. So it's not like the equipment in this set is totally useless. It's just that one creature where you pay 6 mana and sacrifices to go find an equipment. If you're just doing limited, that ability is not worth it unless you pulled the super ultra mythic one. Pinnacle Kill Ship, Umbral Collar Zealot. I'm so glad I'm getting multiples of these because that card is going to be expensive. Unravel, Harmonious Grove Strider, Honored Knight Captain, Famished World Sire. Now this card is disgusting. 8 mana Leviathan. It's 0/0. Has Ward 3. Devour Land 3. So when it enters, you may sacrifice any number of lands. It enters with 3 times that many +1/+1 counters on it. So if you have 8 lands and pay 8 and cast this, you can sacrifice all 8 lands, and this comes in as a 24/24. And it also has another ability. When this creature enters, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is this creature's power. Put any number of land cards from among them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. absolutely bonkers of a card. In the same standard where Craterhoof Behemoth is legal. Foil auxiliary boosters, mountain, lander, robot. God, I just thought of that. Yeah. One turn you play Famished World Sire, and then the next turn you play Craterhoof Behemoth. Give that monster trample. Absolutely disgusting. Okay. Focus Fire. Drix Fatemaker. 4 mana, 3/2 Drix Wizard. When this creature enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has trample. So you don't even need Craterhoof Behemoth. You can just play this and give your Famished World Sire trample when it enters. It also has a warp ability for 2. Rig for War, Virus Beetle, Mechan's Shieldmate, Radiant Strike, Melt Strider's Gear, Glacier Godmaw, 7 mana, 6/6 Leviathan with trample. When it enters, create a lander token. Whenever a lander you control enters, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain vigilance and haste until end of turn. How big can we make that giant Leviathan creature? Biomech Engineer. 2 mana, 2/2 Insect Artificer. When it enters, create a lander token. Pay 8 mana, draw 2 cards, and create a robot. I don't know how often you're paying that 8 mana to do that. You must have absolutely nothing to do on your turn if you're doing that ability. Dual Sun Technique, Systems Override. This is a key card in making the 100 damage spacecraft viable. Because it's a 3 mana sorcery. Gain control of target artifact or creature until end of turn. Untap that permanent. It gains haste until end of turn. If it's a spacecraft, put 10 charge counters on it. If you do, remove 10 charge counters from it at the beginning of the next end step. So if you got your 100 damage spacecraft out, you can just play this, get the deal 100 damage ability online, and then pull off the combo with Pain for All. Ooh! The Sarima, the 3 mana legendary spacecraft. When the Sarima enters, search your library for a legendary creature card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. Stationed for 7. 5/5 flying. Other tapped legendary creatures you control have indestructible. I think that's a pretty good card right there. Foil Biomechan Engineer. Swamp Lander Drone. Not a lander robot. Shocking. Oh, and there's the 4th non-Shockland reprint of the set. Banishing Light. 3 mana enchantment. When this enchantment enters, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls until this enchantment leaves the battlefield. That was just the one card, right? Yep. Sammy's Curiosity. Slag Drill Scrapper. 1 mana, 1/2 Robot Scout. Pay 2 tap, sacrifice another artifact or land, draw a card. Again, those munitions tokens. Pretty good. Decode Transmissions. 3 mana sorcery. Draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. But if you had a void, if you met the void requirements, instead you draw 2 cards and each opponent loses 2 life. Very good card right there. Cryogen Relic, Galactic Wayfarer, Chrome Companion, Annul, Terra Pact Intimidator, Pulsar Squadron Ace, another Sacred Foundry. Let's go. And a double rare in this pack. Let's go. Warmaker Gunship, 3 mana spacecraft. When this spacecraft enters, it deals damage equal to the number of artifacts you control to target creature and opponent controls. Station for 6. Becomes a flying 4/3. Foil Orbital Plunge. Foil Basic Forest. Lander Robot. So that's 2 Sacred Foundries. Ah. Apparently, Boros got the not the shortest end of the stick, but Boros is in the best position for standard post rotation because a lot of dual color lands for other colors got rotated out, and by the end of it, the color pairing with the most dual lands is Boros. I think they've got something like 9 or 10 dual lands among all the current standard legal sets. So That's a little nutty. Mechan's Shieldmate, Focus Fire, Intrepid Tenderfoot, Rig for War, Virus Beetle, Galactic Wayfarer, Command Bridge, Dual Sun Adepts, Debris Field Crusher, Menon Uthros Exile, Hilderblade, Terra Symbiosis. 3-mana enchantment. Whenever you put one or more +1/+1 counters on a creature you control, you draw that many cards. Do this only once each turn. That's pretty good, especially if you play this and then play that Devour Land 3 creature. Dear God. That's a commander combo right there. Don't do that in standard or limited. You'll deck yourself. Foil Debris Field Crusher, Foil Swamp, Robot Munitions. Oh no, wait, there is one more token that I haven't opened up yet that I know of. Because there's an artifact that makes sliver tokens. It's the only card in the set that cares about slivers. It has affinity for slivers. Gives your slivers double strike and haste, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you make 2 sliver tokens. So when we got the preview, the Mark Rosewater previews for this set, people saw that there were things for slivers and Eldrazi, they thought the set was going to be full of them. But we only got one Eldrazi creature and one artifact that, while it makes tokens, the affinity for slivers doesn't work for limited because there are there's no changelings with shape changer. No, there's no shapeshifters with changeling. So there's no way to make slivers prior to getting that artifact out. So you're paying 6 mana for it, and then you start making slivers. So a bit misleading. And definitely those were cards definitely focused towards the commander players and not the limited and standard players. Alright, next pack. Orbital Plunge, Embrace Oblivion, Ilvoy Galeblade, Night Luminary, Looming Stinger, Kav Landseeker, Zookeeper Mechan, Vault-Guard Trooper, Caesarian Dirgecraft, Hypnosimic Might. So, this is now my second Tezzeret Cruel Captain. Hot damn, if I get a third one, I can have a Tezzeret in my trade binder. Let's go. Alright. So Tezzeret Cruel Captain, 3 mana, colorless Planeswalker. 4 loyalty. Whenever an artifact you control enters, put a loyalty counter on Tezzeret. For 0 loyalty, untap target artifact or creature. If it's an artifact creature, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So with that, if you play this out and then warp out the 9/9 artifact creature for 3, tap it, station something for 9, use the 0 ability, untap it, make it a 10/10, tap it again, put 19 charge counters on something, because there are at least 2 spacecrafts from the main set that their big ability happens at 20 charge counters. So in one turn, you could put 19 charge counters on a spacecraft with 1 creature if you do this ability with Tezzeret. That is crazy. Alright, so for -3, search your library for an artifact card with mana value 1 or less, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. That's your soul ring that you're getting for commander players. And then -7 gives you the emblem that we've read earlier. And we get a double rare with another Consult the Star Charts. Foil Dark Endurance, Full Art Forest, Robot Drone. Okay, so even though I've gotten a couple of shock lands. I've gotten a pair of bonus sheet lands. I've gotten now a second Tezzeret. So this box is pretty good so far. It could be better. I hope I can at least get, because I've only gotten 2 bonus sheet cards. The bonus sheet cards are a lot more sparse in this set than they were in Final Fantasy. Felt like every other pack in Final Fantasy had a bonus sheet card. Okay. Ilvoy Galeblade, Night Luminary, Blooming Stinger, Kav Landseeker, Beamsaw Prospector, Nanoform Sentinel, Depressurize, Vote out the Among Us reference. I love this. 4 mana sorcery with Convoke. Uh, Convoke lets you tap your creatures to pay for mana for the spell. Destroy target creature. Democracy is not always just. I love that. Use social engineering. Mechan Assembler. Whenever another artifact you control enters, create a 2/2 colorless robot. This ability triggers only once each turn. Genomorph Imago? Yeah, Genomorph Imago. 2 mana, 1/3 insect druid with flying. Landfall trigger. When a land enters, target creature has base power, toughness 3/3 until end of turn. If you control 6 or more lands, it becomes a 6/6 instead. It's a pretty good one. Another terminal velocity. And the foil is the 100 damage spacecraft. That is nutty. I see complaining works. Complaining always works in Magic. So yes, this is Dawnsire Sunstar Dreadnought. 5 mana legendary spacecraft. When you station it to 10, when you station it to at least 10, whenever you attack, Dawnsire deals 100 damage to up to one target creature or planeswalker. And then at 20 charge counters, it becomes a flying 20/20. It becomes a base, basically becomes Variant Lage, except it can be blown up. Foil full art planes and a robot. Oh, hey, there's the sliver token. Maybe that means we'll get the sliver artifact in this box. That'd be fun. A foil Dawnsire. And like I said, I pulled one in my pre-release kit, so if I get a third Dawnsire, that's a Dawnsire for my trade binder. Alright, Banishing Light, Fungal Colossus, Orplay Pangolin, Peregrine Reckoner. I still haven't seen that third card that you need for the turn 4 instant win in standard. I'm keeping my eye out for it. It's another mono black card, so if I see it, I'll point it out. Cryogen Relic, Squire Lightblade, Lost in Space, Chrome Companion, Tractor Beam, Sunstar Lightsmith, Hymn of the Faller, Nova Hellkite, 5 mana, 4/5 dragon, flying in haste. When this creature enters, it deals 1 damage to target creature and opponent controls, and warp for 3. I'll be honest, this is my least favorite mono red card of the set, particularly for limited, because it seems like a lot of mana that you're paying into just to deal 1 damage to a creature. I mean, if you combo it off with a card that destroys a creature that's been dealt damage, that works, but this would honestly be better if it said 1 damage to any target. I mean, no, the Nova Dragon, the common, is still better for targeted damage than this, even if this was 1 damage to any target, because that's 3 damage to any target. So I don't know. I'm not a fan of Nova Hellkite, honestly. Foil Rig for War, Island, Lander, Human Soldier. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so after this pack, we've got 6 more packs left in the box. And then we will move on to our collector pack. I'm hoping there's something good in there. Cloud Sculpt Technician, Beamsaw Prospector, Bright Spear Zealot, Sky Stinger, Nebula Dragon, Pinnacle Kill Ship, Nanoform Sentinel, Cut Propulsion, 3 mana instant. Target creature deals damage to itself equal to its power. If that creature has flying, it deals twice that much damage to itself instead. I love spells that are basically stop hitting yourself. Those are always fun. Cerebral Download, Tapestry Warden, Timeline Color. Ooh, this is this is Gaia's Cradle in Standard. Evan Doe Waking Heaven. It's the green planet, enters taps for green, station for 12. Pay 1 green and tap, add green for each creature you control. You love to see that. So, got that and that. I think I got the black one. I know I got a showcase red land. I don't recall if I've opened up any of the other planets so far, other than that. Foil Red Tiger Mechan, Plains, and Robot Sliver. I also haven't seen a single art card. Did they not do art cards for Edge of Eternities? I'll have to look that up, because if they didn't, I'll be sad. Art cards were some of my favorite things to look at because the art is so pretty. I just want to look at the art without all the other text and everything. Okay, Vanishing Light, Sammy's Curiosity, Slag Drill Scrapper, Decode Transmissions, Cryogen Relic, Squire's Lightblade, Lost in Space, Zookeeper Mechan, Remnant Elemental, Servandin the Lucent, Codecracker Hound, the Endstone? I'll take not getting art cards if I keep getting more stuff like this. This card seems kind of bad because of the second ability, but trust me, it's actually really freaking good, especially in the deck that I'm trying to build, the standard deck. So, the Endstone, 7 mana, legendary artifact. Whenever you play a land or cast a spell, draw a card. At the beginning of your end step, your life total becomes half your starting life total rounded up. So, if you're playing standard, all you gotta do is just make sure your opponent can't deal 10 or more damage to you in a turn. And if you're doing commander, that just becomes 20 damage in a turn. And then once you do that, you're basically indestructible. But this combos off with the red white Sammy, not the uncommon one that makes you a robot at the end step when you have 2 or more tapped creatures. The one that says spells you cast have affinity for artifacts. Because that comboed with the Endstone, as long as you've got a bunch of like colorless stuff to play, you could just draw through a whole bunch of cards in your deck. It's ridiculous. Foil Gene Pollinator, Forest, and Lander Robot. Oh no, pack down. Oop, little earthquake there. Oh no. Okay. Gene Pollinator, look at that. Bombard, Dark Endurance, Sammy's Curiosity. That's weird. Huh. Usually the first 5 cards are one of each color. Sammy's Curiosity, Slag Drill Scrapper, Decode Transmissions, Drill Too Deep. No common blue or white cards. That's really weird. Survey Mechan, Specimen Freighter, Meltstrider Eulogist, Scout for Survivors, Starwinder. I'm debating putting this into my Dimir Sea Monsters deck because it's a Leviathan, so it'll matter. It's a 7 mana 7/7. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw that many cards and warp for 4. Yes, I would love to draw a bunch of cards in Dimir. Foil Frontline War Rager, Swamp, and Lander Human Soldier. That was a weird pack. It was weird because these are supposed to be these are the combination of set and draft boosters. So they're supposed to be guaranteed at least one of each color in the pack, and they're usually all commons up in the front. So it's weird to see a bunch of Jund cards basically be the commons. Alrighty. Flight Deck Coordinator. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more tapped creatures, you gain 2 life. Intrepid Tenderfoot. Plasma Bolts. Deals 2 damage to any target for 1 mana sorcery, or 3 damage if the void requirement was reached. Hull Carver. 1/1 Death Touch for 1. Mental Modulation. Command Bridge. Mechanozoa. Gigastorm Titan. 5 mana 4/4. Costs 3 less to cast if you've cast another spell this turn. So if you cast something small in the turn, then this just becomes a 2 mana 4/4. Lash Whip Predator. 6 mana 5/7. Plant Beast with Reach. It costs 2 less to cast if your opponents control 3 or more creatures. Which, with the amount of token creation you're doing that makes a bunch of robots, it's not that hard to do. Void Forged Titan. 5 mana 5/4. At the beginning of your end step, if the void requirement happened, you draw a card and lose a life. Neat. With propulsion. Oh, a showcase for the white planet that we've already seen. That's really neat. I like that view. Foil Reroute Systems. 1 mana instant. Choose 1. Target artifact or creature gains indestructible until end of turn, or Reroute Systems deals 2 damage to target tapped creature. Planes. Lander Drone. Alrighty, 3 more packs, and then we open the collector booster. Alrighty, Squire's Lightblade, Gene Pollinator, Bombard, Dark Endurance, Ilvoy Lightjammer, Starfield Pilot, Dockworker Drone, Drill Too Deep, Invasive Maneuvers, 2 mana instant, deals 3 damage to target creature, deals 5 damage instead if you control a spacecraft. Monolith Sentry, 4/1 Defender for 1. Larval Scoutlander, think I've read this one, but just in case, 3 mana spacecraft. When this spacecraft enters, you may sacrifice a land or lander token. If you do, search your library for up to 2 basic lands, put them in the battlefield, tap and shuffle, and then station for 7 becomes a 3/3 flyer. Zhu Ifit Osteoharmonist. This was another commander that was featured in the Command Zone episode for Edge of Eternities. It's a 3 mana 2/3 human wizard. Tap, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's a skeleton in addition to its other types and has no abilities. Activate only as a sorcery. So the deck that Jimmy built with this, I didn't know how good this could be, but the deck that Jimmy built showed off what it is. Basically, you want like a bunch of cheap, like there's a lot of like low cost, high power creatures that have terrible drawbacks. So like the cards that say, gets minus X, where X is your life total. If you play it too early, you'll just instantly die. You do that, you play that, then reanimate this, and you get just a 13/13 for 1 mana, basically. And then later, and then you can, give it equipment or auras to give it keywords, or you can just, flicker it somehow and give it its abilities back. It's pretty neat. Foiled Mech and Shieldmate, Full Art Swamp, Lander Robot. All right, we're almost done with the box, and then we'll move on to the collector pack. All right, Sinister Cryologist. When it enters, target creature an opponent controls gets -3/-0 until end of turn. Oh yeah, we've read this one. Auxiliary boosters, Biosynthetic Burst, Plasma Bolt, Hull Carver, Radiant Strike, Thaumaton Torpedo, Scrounge for Eternity, Starfield Shepherd, Memorial Team Leader, Siege Ship Agrarian, Extinguisher Battleship, 8 mana spacecraft. When the spacecraft enters, destroy target non-creature permanent. Then the spacecraft deals 4 damage to each creature. Then if you station it for 5 or more, it becomes a 10/10 flying trampler. This is going to be, you're going to want to be very careful with how you play this, because if you don't have a way to protect your board, you probably won't have much of a board to station this thing with afterwards. Foil Pinnacle Killship, Foil Swamp, Lander Robot. All right, the last pack of the Edge of Eternities box, and then we will open up the collector booster, and that will be the end of the stream. So let's go. I still haven't seen that other card. I'll have to look it up. I'll have to look it up and show you what it is. Beamsaw Prospector, Cloud Sculpt Technician, Brightspear Zealot, Sky Stinger, Nebula Dragon, Depressurize, Drill Too Deep, All Fates Stalker, 4 mana 2/3 Drix Assassin. When this creature enters, exile up to 1 target non-assassin creature until this creature leaves the battlefield, and warp for 2. Cavaron Harrier, Mouth of the Storm, 7 mana 6/6 Flying Elemental with Ward 2. When this creature enters, creatures your opponents control get -3/-0 until your next turn. Oh hey! We did end up getting one more bonus sheet card out of this box. Got Blinkmoth Nexus. Taps for colorless, or pay 1. Tap this. Pay 1. This land becomes a 1/1 Blinkmoth artifact creature with flying until end of turn. It's still a land. Pay 1 and tap. Target Blinkmoth creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. And a Starfield Vocalist, double rare. Foil Slagdrill Scrapper, Foil Forest, Lander, Human Soldier. Alrighty. So I will be honest, I am kind of hoping that whatever I get out of this collector booster is really fire. Because I mean, there were some decent hits in that box. I won't lie, but it just kind of felt lackluster overall, especially since it seems like there's no art cards in this whole set. Because I didn't open up a single art card. I have actually have to look up to see if they stopped doing art cards for Edge of Eternities. I hope that's not the case, but in case it is, that would explain a lot. So yeah, let's open up this collector booster. Always make these so difficult to open. If you're able to get your hands on Edge of Eternity's collector boosters, I applaud you because my store is already out. They've already gone through everything that their that the store has. Oh, good. They put the commons in front this time, and it's already kind of pringly. Okay. Well, it's good that they put the commons in the front. I don't like it when they put the big hits in the front. I like to build up to it. All right. Gonna clean this up a little bit here. Just make these stacks a little more presentable. I did space them out with the intention to give them some breathing room. I hope everybody has had a good weekend and has had fun playing Edge of Eternities. I think it's a fun set. It unfortunately does feel like a step down from Final Fantasy, but that's just because Final Fantasy was done so well. It's going to be very hard to top. But I'm hoping that that Edge of Eternity's Spider-Man and Avatar all get the love that they deserve. Alrighty. So, for the collector pack, we've got a foil depressurize, a foil ice cave crasher, foil orbital plunge, foil dark endurance, foil chrome companion, foil remnant elemental, foil hemosymbic knight. Ugh, might. Words are hard. Foil honored knight captain, foil memorial team leader, full art island that I think is foil. Oh yeah, that's foil. Foil Starwinder. So now I at least got one if I want to put one in the Sea Monsters deck. Ooh, spacecraft from the one of commander decks. Exploration Broodship. 1 mana spacecraft. Three when you get to 3 charge counters, you can play an additional land on each of your turns. You get to 8 charge counters, it becomes a 4/4 with flying. Once during each of your turns, you may cast a permanent spell from your graveyard by sacrificing the land in addition to paying its other costs. Pretty cool there. Showcase Nova Hellkite. Ooh, this is a showcase Swarm Yard. So now I got 2 Swarm Yards. It's cool. Oh, look at that. That's a pretty showcase Exalted Sunborn. And it's foil too. I don't know. This is the Japanese showcase one. Don't know how much this is going for. Then Lander Human Soldier. I am going to look that one up. Let's see. Exalted Sunborn. Okay. So the market price on TCG Player as of today, August 3rd, for a foil is 68.54. That definitely paid for the price of the collector pack. That's pretty cool. All right, let me find. I want to show you that other card that you need for the combo. Here it is. So let me grab the 3 cards that you need for the combo to work. that one, and then this. Okay, so the turn 4 instant win combo in standard currently that you could do with just mono black. Turn 2, you play the Umbral Collar Zealot. It says you sacrifice another creature or artifact and surveil one. Turn 3 is you play the card that we didn't find in the box or the bundle or the collector pack, and that is Susurian Voidborn. Uh, it is a 3-mana 2/2 vampire soldier that says whenever this creature or another creature or artifact you control dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. And then on turn 4, you cast 2 of these for their warp cost. So you play the first one, you target either the Zealot or the Voidborn, and then you play the second one and you target the first one of this, sacrifice the first one to the Zealot, it'll come back and deal 1 damage to your opponent with the Voidborn, and you gain 1 life. And then the first one that just re-entered, you target the second Beckoner, sacrifice that Beckoner to the Zealot, you drain your opponent for 1 with the Voidborn, it comes back, you target the first one, and then you just loop sacrificing each of the Beckoners to the Zealot over and over again until you drain your opponent with the Voidborn. So yeah, just turn 4 in standard, you can instantly win the game. It's pretty nutty. Part of why the Umbral's Collar Zealot is probably going to be an expensive card. Which, really? I've got my Moxfield account set to prices for TCG player. Right now it says a regular Umbral Collar Zealot is only 78 cents. 78 cents for a 2-mana free sack outlet. I am shocked. I honestly was expecting this to be at least $5 because $5 strictly just because it's an uncommon 2-drop free sack outlet creature. That's ridiculous. I'm surprised that it's not more. So anyway, so yeah, so that's gonna be it for this stream. I hope you all had a good time. I hope you all have a great day and a great week coming forward. If you've gotten any good hits from Edge of Eternities, let me know. Let me know in the comments. I think the best pull that we got out of this whole thing, because I don't think I want to go through and check all the prices right now, is the showcase Exalted Sunborn. That's the best hit that we got. Didn't get any special guests, which is to be expected. They're really rare to find, but I'm honestly surprised if they didn't do art cards for this set. If they stopped doing art cards for the standard sets, I'll honestly be sad because those were some of it was my like I said, I love just looking at the art of Magic. Maybe I just got extremely unlucky and none of the play boosters that I opened had art cards. It could be entirely possible. I'll probably just once I end this stream/video here, I'll probably just look up does Edge of Eternities have art cards and get my answer there. Actually, let's just do that right now. Are there art cards in Edge of Eternities NTG? They moved the art cards to collector boosters. So they are still doing art cards. They've just moved them to collector boosters. So now they're actually going to be worth something, probably. Especially the gold stamped signature cards. That is such BS. Honestly, I hate that. It's like when they had the Dragon Eye basic lands only available in the collector packs. That's really dumb. Yeah, no, I hate that. That is so dumb. Not a fan. I got a pretty exalted sun board. I should be happy. I am happy. It's just so annoying because like I said, I really enjoy the art cards, and it'll also be unfortunate because when I build my collector binder, I have the art cards in after the tokens in my collector binder, and now there's just going to be a big empty space that I'm not going to be able to fill because collector boosters are way too expensive to buy them just to get art cards. So if this is how they're doing it moving forward, I'm just not going to have art cards anymore, which is unfortunate. Yeah, well, what can you do? Wizards is making silly decisions after silly decision. Wait until they don't sell anything one set, and then we'll see what happens. Well, yeah, that is going to be it for my stream. This video is probably going to go up following Monday. I'll probably just set it up to auto upload, schedule an upload for Monday, probably about noon Central. So yeah, I will see you all later, and I will work on streaming more regularly and also working on actual long form videos for YouTube. With that, have a good day, everyone. Bye.